The bus hissed as it came to a stop. For a moment, I didn't move. I just sat there, fingers curled tightly around the strap of my worn leather bag, staring out the window like if I blinked, it might all disappear. Home. After almost 10 years. I was finally home. I stepped down onto the cracked pavement and instantly the air wrapped around me, thick, humid, heavy with the scent of salt and sun-baked earth. It clung to my skin, familiar in a way that should have been comforting. But instead it felt suffocating. Like something had been waiting for me. I adjusted my grip on my bag and took a slow breath, my eyes drifting down the narrow, dusty road that led toward our neighborhood. Nothing had changed. The same uneven sidewalks. The same faded storefronts. The same crooked telephone poles leaning like they were too tired to stand straight anymore. Everything looked exactly the way I remembered it. And yet, nothing felt the same. The last time I stood on this road I was younger. Softer. Hopeful in a way that only someone who hasn't been tested by the world can afford to be. I had tears in my eyes that day. A suitcase in one hand. And a heart full of promises in the other. I told myself I was leaving for something better. That I would come back stronger. That one day, I'd return to a life I could finally call my own. No. Here I was. Older. Wiser. A little more tired than I ever imagined I'd be. But still holding on to one thing. Hope. Because this wasn't just a visit. This was my return. My beginning. My home. I started walking. Each step felt heavier than it should have, like the road itself was reminding me just how long I had been gone. My fingers tightened around my bag. This bag had seen everything. Late nights. Long shifts. Tears I never let anyone hear. There were days I thought about giving up. Days when the loneliness felt louder than anything else in my life. But I didn't. Because every sacrifice had a purpose. Every hour I worked. Every dollar I sent home. It was all building something. Brick by brick. Piece by piece. The future. My future. I could still remember the first picture my parents sent me. The foundation. Just dirt and lines in the ground, but to me it looked like everything. Then came the walls. The roof. The balcony. Every new photo felt like a promise being kept. Something real. Something waiting for me. When you come back, my mother had said over the phone once, her voice warm and reassuring, you won't have to struggle anymore. You'll have your own home. And I held on to that. Through everything. As I walked, I let myself imagine it again. The front door opening beneath my hand. The soft echo of my footsteps across polished floors. Sunlight pouring through wide windows. A kitchen filled with warmth. A garden in the back where I could sit in the evenings. Finally at peace. I imagined laughter. Family dinners. A life where I wasn't just surviving anymore. But living. Really living. And maybe, just maybe, I could finally take care of my parents the way they once took care of me. That thought alone had carried me through some of my darkest days. The closer I got to the neighborhood, the slower my steps became. And then, I saw it. The house. Standing tall at the end of the road just like in the pictures. Well, better than the pictures. Fresh paint gleamed under the afternoon sun. The balconies stretched wide and elegant. Looked grand. Proud. Like it had been waiting to be admired. My heart lifted. For a moment, everything inside me softened. I made it. But then, something didn't feel right. My eyes narrowed slightly. There were cars parked outside. More than there should have been. And then I saw it. Ribbons. Soft pastel ribbons tied along the gate. Flowers draped carefully across the entrance. Decorations. My steps slowed to a stop. A quiet unease crept into my chest. A celebration? My brows pulled together. A wedding? Oh. That didn't make sense. No one told me anything about a wedding. Not once. Not in all the calls. Not in all the messages. Not in all the years I spent sending money home. I moved closer, more cautiously now. My eyes scanned the yard, the windows, the front door, looking for something. Someone. My mother. My father. More. But no one was there. No one had come to meet me at the bus stop. No one had been waiting. Suddenly, that small, quiet unease turned into something heavier. Something tighter. Like a knot slowly pulling itself together in my stomach. Kim. The voice came from behind the gate. Familiar. Too familiar. I turned. And there she was. More. Standing in the sunlight like she belonged in it. She looked Stunning. A soft lavender dress hugged her figure perfectly. Her hair fell in smooth waves styled with care. Her skin glowed. Her smile. Bright. Effortless. The same way it had always been. For a moment, I just stared at her, trying to match the image in front of me with the sister I had carried in my memories all these years. "Kim, you're home," she said, her voice light, almost breathless with excitement. "Why didn't you tell us you were coming early?" I forced a smile. It felt strange on my face. Unfamiliar. "I wanted to surprise you," I said, adjusting my bag slightly. "I didn't want to ruin anything." My eyes flicked past her, back to the house. To the decorations. To the cars. "What's going on?" I asked carefully. "Is there a wedding?" For just a second. She hesitated. It was small. Barely noticeable. But I saw it. Her eyes shifted. Her body stilled. Then, "Yes," she said softly. "Mine." The word hit me harder than I expected. "Yours." I repeated, blinking. "You're getting Mar. ID?" She nodded quickly. "In a few weeks." A strange silence settled between us. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" I asked. And this time, I didn't bother hiding the confusion in my voice. She looked away briefly. "We didn't want to bother you," she said too quickly. "You were busy working so hard." Her eyes darted back to mine. "But come in," she added, forcing brightness back into her tone. "Everyone's going to be so happy to see you." I followed her through the gate. But something inside me didn't follow. My heart began to pound harder with every step. Louder, faster. Like it was trying to warn me. The decorations, the cars, the silence. None of it made sense. This was supposed to be my moment. My return. The life I had spent years building toward. But as I crossed the threshold, it didn't feel like I was coming home. It felt like I was stepping into something that didn't belong to me. I didn't leave home because I wanted to. I left because staying would have meant accepting a life I wasn't ready to live. Growing up, we weren't poor, but we were never comfortable either. My parents ran a small shop in town. It sat on the corner of a busy street. Paint slightly faded, shelves always full, but never quite enough customers to make a real difference. We survived. That's the best way to describe it. We survived, but we never moved forward. Still, if you looked from the outside, you wouldn't know. That. My parents were careful about that. They dressed well, spoke with confidence, carried themselves like people who had more than they actually did. Appearances mattered to them, reputation mattered. They wanted to be seen a certain way, even if it meant stretching the truth just to maintain it. They wanted more respect, more status, more recognition. And when the opportunity came for me to work abroad, they didn't hesitate. To them, it wasn't just a job offer. It was a doorway. A chance to become the family everyone thought they already were. I remember the night before I left. The house was quiet, too quiet. My suitcase sat by the door, already packed, like it was waiting for me to catch up emotionally. My father stood across from me, his expression serious in a way I had learned not to question. "Kim," he said, his voice steady. "This is your chance. Pause. Work hard. Send what you can. We'll take care of everything here." Everything, such a simple word. At the time, it felt like a promise. My mother came to me next. She didn't say anything at first. She just took my hands in hers, holding them tightly, like if she let go, I might disappear before morning. "When you come back," she said softly, her eyes searching mine, "you won't have to struggle anymore." Her grip tightened slightly. "We'll build something for you here. A home, a future. A home, not just walls. Not just a place to sleep. A life. Something steady. Something mine." And I believed them. Every word, every promise. I carried those words with me across oceans, through long nights, through moments when I felt like I had nothing left to give. Because I wasn't just working for money. I was working for something waiting for me at the end of it. But I believed them. Or, my younger sister. Even saying her name brings back 1,000 memories. Some soft, some sharp. She was everything I wasn't. Where I was quiet, she was radiant. Where I was careful, she was effortless. People noticed her the moment she walked into a room. They smiled at her, gravitated toward her. My parents, they adored her. Not in a way that was openly unfair. Not in a way anyone could point to and say, that's wrong. But it was there. In the little things, the subtle things, the things that don't get spoken out loud, but are felt anyway. I was the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who didn't cause trouble, the one who understood. And being the one who understood meant I was the one who gave in, always. I remember one summer festival. I must have been, maybe 12. There was a dress in a shop window, simple but beautiful. Soft fabric, light color, something that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I could be seen a little differently. I had saved for weeks. Small coins, careful spending, saying no to little things just to hold on to that goal. And when I finally had enough, I went to get it. Amara saw it first. Her eyes lit up instantly. I want that one, she said, smiling. Just like that, no hesitation, no thought. I looked at my mother. Just for a second. That quiet, hopeful second where you wait to see if someone will choose you. She smiled, gently, kindly, and said the words I had heard so many times before. Kim, you're the older sister. Pause. Let her have it. So I did. I stepped back. Watched them buy it. Watched her twirl in it later that day, glowing with happiness. And I told myself, it was fine. Because that's what I always told myself. Another time, I was accepted into a school program I really wanted. It wasn't just any program. It was something that could have changed things for me. Opened doors. Given me options. But it came with a cost. Extra books. Extra fees. Things we couldn't easily afford. That same year, Amara wanted to start dance classes. She had seen a performance in town and fell in love with it instantly. She talked about it constantly. Dreamed about it out loud. My parents sat us both down. Explained the situation. Carefully. Gently. And somehow, without anyone saying it directly, the decision was already made. Guess whose opportunity disappeared? Mine. Because I was strong. Because I would understand. As I always did. And the truth is, I did understand. I understood that loving my family meant sacrificing parts of myself. I understood that being the older sister meant stepping aside. I understood that some things just weren't meant for me. At least, that's what I believed back then. Working abroad wasn't the dream. It was what stood between me and the dream. There's a difference people don't talk about. They see the results. The money sent back. The things that get built. But they don't see what it costs. Long shifts that blurred into each other. Days where I couldn't remember the last time I sat down without exhaustion weighing on my bones. Nights that felt too quiet. Too empty. Loneliness has a sound. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It's the silence after a long day when there's no one to talk to. No one who really knows you. No one who sees what you're carrying. I missed everything. Birthdays, holidays, family gatherings. Moments that seem small, until you realize you can't get them back. There were nights I would sit on the edge of my bed staring at my phone, debating whether to call home, because sometimes hearing their voices made it better, and sometimes it made it worse. But no matter how hard it got, I kept going, because every sacrifice had a purpose. Every hour I worked, every extra shift I took, every dollar I saved, to vent home, meant something. It was a brick in the life I was building, my life. A home in the town I loved. A place where I could finally stop running, finally breathe, finally belong. I imagined it so many times. The quiet mornings, the evenings in the garden, the feeling of knowing I didn't have to leave again. And more than that, I imagined taking care of my parents, giving back, making everything they had struggled through worth it. They sent me pictures over the years, and I held on to every single one, the foundation, just lines in the ground. But to me, it was the beginning of everything. The walls rising slowly, steadily. Proof that something real was taking shape. The balcony, the windows, the finishing touches. Each image felt like hope. Like something solid I could reach for. Something waiting for me, no matter how far away I was. And on the hardest days, when I felt like I had nothing left to give, I would look at those pictures again and remind myself, it's almost done. Just a little more. Just hold on. Because at the end of all of it, there would be a door, waiting for me to walk through. A home, mine. The moment I stepped inside, I felt it, not comfort, not belonging. Something else, something off. The air was cooler inside, carrying a faint scent of fresh paint and polished wood. My footsteps echoed softly beneath me as I crossed the threshold, the sound unfamiliar, like I was walking through someone else's space. And then I saw it. The living room opened up wide in front of me, spacious, elegant, almost too perfect. The floors gleamed beneath the light, smooth and spotless. The walls were painted in soft, warm tones, carefully chosen, thoughtfully done. Every piece of furniture looked expensive, deliberate, untouched. And above it all, hanging from the ceiling like a centerpiece meant to impress, a chandelier, crystal, catching the light and scattering it across the room in delicate fragments that shimmered with every slight movement. It was beautiful. More beautiful than anything I had imagined. More beautiful than the pictures. And yet, standing there, I didn't feel pride. I didn't feel joy. I felt like I didn't belong. Like I had walked into a life that had been carefully built, without me. Kim. My mother's voice broke through the silence. I turned. There they were, standing together in the corner of the room like they had been waiting for this exact moment. My mother's face lit up instantly, her hands flying to her mouth before she rushed toward me. Kim, my darling. She wrapped her arms around me tightly, too tightly, and for a brief second, I let myself lean into it. Let myself feel what I had missed all these years. You're finally home, she said, pulling back just enough to look at me, her hands still gripping my arms. Let me see you. You've lost weight. Are you eating properly? We missed you so much. Her voice was warm, familiar, almost convincing. My father stepped forward more slowly, his expression calm, measured. It's good to have you back, he said, nodding once, simple, controlled, like always. I smiled. Because that's what I had always done. I smiled, even when something didn't feel right. But the feeling was there, growing, pressing in on my chest. I turned slightly, letting my eyes drift around the room again, taking it all in, trying to match this place with the one I had built in my mind for years. And then, my gaze landed on the mantel. Frames. Neatly arranged, polished, carefully placed. I stepped closer, slowly. And one by one, I saw them. Amara smiling at a family gathering. Amara dressed beautifully, standing in front of the house while it was still under construction. Amara on the balcony. Amara in the garden. Amara everywhere. My breath caught slightly in my throat. I searched for something else. Another photo. Anything. A trace of me. But there was nothing. Not a single picture. Not a single moment. It was like I had never existed here at all. A tightness formed in my chest. Slow. Unforgiving. I swallowed hard, forcing it down. Forcing everything down. And then I turned back to them. Because I needed to hear it. Needed to make sense of it before my thoughts spiraled any further. Mom. Dad. I said carefully, my voice quieter now, more controlled. The house, it's beautiful. I let the words hang for a second. Waiting, watching. Is it ready for me to move in? Silence. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that stretches. The kind that says something is wrong before anyone speaks. My mother's smile faltered. Just slightly. My father's jaw tightened. And then, they looked at each other. Just for a second. But it was enough. Enough for something cold to slip down my spine. My father cleared his throat, stepping forward slightly, but his eyes didn't meet mine. Kim, we need to talk. Something inside me dropped. Like a sudden fall with nothing to catch you. I took a small step back without realizing it. Talk about what? I asked, my voice thinner now. What's going on? My mother's hands came together in front of her, fingers twisting, ringing against each other. A habit. One I hadn't seen since I was a child. Since the time she didn't know how to say something she knew would hurt. She exhaled slowly. Kim, sweetheart, she began, her voice softer now. Fragile. We didn't know how to tell you. My heartbeat started to pick up. Louder. Faster. Tell me what? I pressed. And then she said it. Quietly. Like saying it softer would somehow make it hurt less. The house, it's not yours. For a second, everything stopped. The air, the sound. Even my thoughts. What? The word barely left my lips. I stared at her, waiting. Waiting for her to correct herself. To laugh. To say it was a misunderstanding. But she didn't. What do you mean it's not mine? I said louder now, my voice shaking despite myself. I sent you money. For years. Nearly a decade. The words started coming faster, harder. You sent me pictures. Updates. You told me everything was going according to plan. You told me this was my home. My chest rose and fell unevenly. How can it not be mine? My father stepped forward then, placing a hand on my shoulder. The gesture felt wrong. Heavy, unwelcome. Kim, he said carefully, like he was choosing each word before letting it out. We know you sacrificed a lot. We know you worked hard. Pause. A breath. And then, but when Amara got engaged, to a man from a very good family, my stomach dropped. We thought it would be better for everyone if the house went to her. The words didn't register at first. They just hung there. Meaningless. Ill they weren't. What? My voice cracked this time. Louder, sharper. What? The room seemed to tilt slightly. You gave her the house? I demanded. Pie house. My hands trembled at my sides. You used my money, my years, my life, to build something for her? The anger hit all at once. Hot, explosive, uncontainable. How could you do this to me? I shouted, my voice breaking under the weight of it. I trusted you. I trusted you with everything. Kim. Amara's voice, small. Careful. She stepped forward slightly. I didn't know, she said quickly. I swear I didn't know they were using your money. I thought. I turned on her so fast she froze. You didn't know? I repeated, my voice low now, dangerous. You expect me to believe that? Because this was familiar, too familiar. My mother stepped in, tears already forming in her eyes. Kim, please, she said, her voice trembling. We had no choice. I let out a bitter laugh. No choice. I shook my head slowly. You always had a choice. My voice hardened, each word sharper than the last. And you chose her. A beat. Just like you always did. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it wasn't uncertain. It was exposed. I worked for years, I continued, my voice trembling now, but I didn't stop. I gave up everything. I sent every extra dollar I had, so I could come back to something that was mine. My chest tightened painfully. And now you're telling me I have nothing? My father stepped forward again, his tone calmer, almost pleading now. Kim, we'll fix this, he said. We'll figure something out. We'll make it right. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. You already did, I said quietly. A small shake of my head. You made your choice. I turned to Amara. She stood there frozen, speechless, still beautiful, still untouched by the weight I had carried all these years. My voice dropped, cold, steady. Enjoy your house, sister. I hope it was worth it. And then, I walked away. I didn't wait for anyone to stop me. Didn't look back. Didn't listen to whatever they tried to say behind me. Because none of it mattered anymore. Outside, the air hit me again, heavy, thick. But this time, I welcomed it. Because at least it was honest. I walked and walked, not caring where I was going. Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't stop them. Didn't wipe them away. Let them fall. Let everything fall. 10 years. 10 years of sacrifice. Of believing. Of building something that was never really mine. I slowed as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the road. And somewhere in that quiet, something inside me shifted, not loudly, not all at once, but enough. They took the house. They took the dream. But they didn't take me. I had built a life once. From nothing, from loneliness, from sacrifice. And I could do it again. But this time, it wouldn't be for them. It would be for me. Days passed. But they didn't feel like days. They felt heavy. Like time itself had slowed down just to make sure I felt every second of it. I didn't go back to the house, I couldn't. Just the thought of it, the walls, the rooms, the life that had been taken from me, made something inside my chest tighten until I could barely breathe. Sleep didn't come easy anymore. When it did, it didn't last. I would wake up in the middle of the night, staring into the dark, replaying everything. Every word, every look, every moment I should have seen it coming. But didn't. The house, it's not yours. Those words didn't just echo. They settled, deep. At first, it was heartbreak. Sharp, crushing, unrelenting. But heartbreak doesn't stay the same. Not when it sits long enough. Not when it's fed by silence, and truth, and memory. Changes, slowly. Becomes something else, anger. Not loud at first. Not explosive, but steady, controlled. Like a fire that doesn't burn out, it just waits. And with every sleepless night, every quiet moment, every memory that suddenly made sense in a way it never had before, that fire grew stronger. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was done. Done being the one who understood. Done being the one who gave in. Done being the one who lost so everyone else could win. They didn't just take a house. They took years of my life. My trust. My belief in them. And for the first time, I stopped asking why. And started asking something else. What am I going to do about it? Because walking away. Pretending it didn't matter? Letting them keep everything I worked for. Well, that wasn't happening. I had spent years building something. And I wasn't going to let it be taken from me without a fight. So I reached out, old friends. People I hadn't seen in years. People who remembered me, before everything. Before I left. Before I became someone who only existed through phone calls and money transfers. We sat together. Small tables, quiet corners, familiar places that suddenly felt different now that I had changed. And one by one, I told them everything, the money, every transfer, every sacrifice, the photos, the updates, the carefully crafted illusion my parents had fed me for years. And the truth. The part that still felt unreal even as I said it out loud. They gave it to Amara. At first, there was silence. Then disbelief. Then anger, not mine. Theirs. How could they do that to you? That's not right. That's not just wrong, that's illegal. Hearing it from someone else. Hearing someone call it what it was. Did something to me. Made it real. And then it was Nadia. We hadn't seen each other in years. But the moment she walked in, I recognized her instantly. Same sharp eyes. Same quiet confidence. Only now, she was a lawyer. She didn't interrupt while I spoke. Didn't react immediately. She just listened, carefully, closely. Like she was piecing something together in her mind with every word I said. When I finished, there was a brief silence. Then she leaned forward. Her voice calm, certain. Kim. You have a case. I blinked. With everything you've kept, she continued. The transfers, the messages, the photos. Her gaze sharpened slightly. This isn't just betrayal. It's fraud. The word hung in the air. Heavy, final. And we can prove it, she added. Something inside me shifted. Not dramatically. Not all at once, but enough. For the first time since I came back. I didn't feel lost. I felt focused. The process started quickly after that. Paperwork, statements. Evidence laid out piece by piece. Every receipt, every message. Every promise they had made. Now turned into something undeniable. And in a town like ours, nothing stays quiet for long. People talk, they whisper, they watch, and soon, everyone knew. The story spread through the streets, through the shops, through the same places my parents had worked so hard to impress. How could they do that to their own daughter? I always thought something was off. They used her money? The image they had built over the years started to crack. Then it reached the one place they never expected, Amara's fiancé. And his wealthy family. The kind of people my parents had always admired. The kind they had always wanted to be connected to. At first there were questions, quiet ones. Careful ones. Then came the truth. And truth doesn't negotiate. The wedding was called off. Quickly, cleanly. Without room for explanation. Just like that. Everything they had been building toward for Amara collapsed. I heard about it the same way everyone else did. Through whispers. Through passing conversations that stopped when I walked by. She must be devastated. After everything. I waited to feel something, satisfaction, relief, something. But there was nothing. Because whatever part of me would have cared had already been worn down. Amara had made her choice. Just like they had. No. This was the result. The trial itself wasn't dramatic. There were no surprises. No last-minute twists. Just facts, clear. Unavoidable facts. The evidence spoke for itself. The decision was simple. The judge's voice was calm, measured, final. The property belongs to Kim. For a moment no one moved. No one spoke. It was as if the weight of those words had pressed down on the entire room and held it there. The house, every wall, every window, every piece of it, was mine. Not because of promises, not because of family, but because the truth had finally been seen. I didn't react right away. I just sat there, letting it settle, letting it sink into a place inside me that had been empty for a long time. And then I looked at them, my parents. They didn't look like the same people I had known. The confidence they carried for years, gone. Their shoulders slumped, their eyes lowered, like they were trying to disappear into the very space they once controlled. Mama. She sat beside them, her head bowed, her hands trembling slightly in her lap. Soft, quiet sobs slipped past her lips, barely audible but enough to fill the silence around her. For a second, just a second, I remembered the girl she used to be, the one who laughed easily, the one who never had to fight for anything. And then the moment passed. What is this? This was the result of choices. Not just mine, all of theirs. In that courtroom, nothing was left untouched. Not the image they had built, not the pride they carried, not the life they thought they had secured. They hadn't just lost a house. They had lost the story they told the world about who they were. And this time, there was no fixing it. Everything I had lost was handed back to me on paper. And yet, I didn't feel the way I thought I would. No victory, no relief, just quiet. I stepped outside the courthouse and took a slow breath. The air felt different, lighter, but not because everything was fixed, because something had ended. I looked toward the distance, toward the house I had spent years dreaming about, fighting for, winning back, and realized something. It didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a reminder of everything that had been taken, everything that had been broken, and I didn't want to live inside that. So I made a decision. I sold it. People didn't understand at first. Why fight so hard just to let it go? But to me it made perfect sense. Because what I wanted was never just the house. It was what the house was supposed to represent. And that was already gone. The sale happened quickly. It was a beautiful property. Of course it was. I had paid for every part of it. I watched from a distance as new owners walked through the doors, as they claimed a life that had once been meant for me. And for the first time, I felt something close to peace. Because I wasn't losing it anymore. I was choosing to let it go. With the money, I didn't look back. I booked a one-way ticket. Not out of desperation. Not out of escape. But out of choice. I wasn't leaving for them. I was leaving for me. No promises. No expectations. No one waiting on the other side of my sacrifice. Just me. And whatever I chose to build next. As the plane lifted off the ground, I looked out the window. Not at the house. Not at the streets. Not even at the town. But at the distance between who I was and who I was becoming. I had been hurt, betrayed, broken in ways I didn't think I could recover from. But I was still here. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. Hope. Not the kind built on promises. Not the kind placed in someone else's hands. But something quieter, stronger. Something that belonged to me. And this time, I wasn't letting anyone take it away. If this story hit you, if you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or taken for granted, drop a comment below and tell me, what would you have done in Kim's place? And if you want more powerful, emotional stories like this, stories of betrayal, resilience, and rising stronger, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Because sometimes, people who break you are the ones who teach you how strong you really are.